Hi everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. This is the live stream that we do once a month for Taking Back Friday, and it just gives us a chance to catch up on all of the things that are happening at Sweet Georgia and the School of Sweet Georgia. My name is Felicia, and yeah, we come here every Friday and we talk about something to do with the fiber arts. Now today I have a lot, a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to share with you guys, a lot of things happening. So maybe the first thing that I should mention is what is happening right now. What are we knitting right now? The thing that is going on right now is the mystery knit along for Sweet Georgia. We do this every year. This is the 5th year that we've done a mystery knit along, and it's called Autumn Dahlias this year. It's designed by Tabitha Hedrick, our design director, and this shawl is coming together now. I can see a lot of people making this shawl. Everybody's knitting this shawl right now, and I can see photos up on the School of Sweet Georgia. People are posting and sharing about what they've done. Now, last week was launch day, and this past week we launched clue number 2. So there's 3 more clues after this, but I can already start to see from a lot of photos the shape of the shawl, a lot of the motifs and the design and the colors mixing together. There's 3 different kinds of yarns that are put in there. There's a Tough Love sock, which is a sock yarn. There is a cashmere based sock yarn with a little bit of sparkle in it, and there's a sock blank. So the gradient sock blank together with these 2 solid colors are working together. So yeah, I can see everybody chatting about that. Fantastic. Wonderful. It's nice to see everybody here. Fantastic. Okay. The other thing that is happening right now inside the school is we have a rigid heddle study group going on. So this is something that we have been trying to support everyone since the very beginning. We created rigid heddle study. Well, we created the rigid heddle weaving class, I think, before we created multi-shaft weaving classes. And it's really a way to get everybody excited about weaving, to get into weaving. If you've never tried your hand at weaving, this is a great place to start. And so the rigid heddle study group is going on right now through August, and it's being hosted by Amanda Wood, who is our rigid heddle weaving instructor. And so the first part of that study group is to basically make this, to make a little color gamp. And so this is very, very simple. It goes on the loom like so, and you can see there's a section that is like warped with all black, and then a little bit of white added to the black, and then a little bit more white and a little bit more white until it's mostly white at the other end. And then this way you get a chance to experience a lot of different color patterns that are happening here, a lot of color effects that happen when you mix and combine these 2 different high contrast colors. Fantastic. So I'm seeing a lot of these color gamps come together right now, and then out of the color gamp, the wonderful thing that you can do here is that you can pick something that really appeals to you. Say like this one is actually my favorite pattern here. Let's see if I can show you. This one here is my favorite pattern. And so if you took that and then extrapolated that entire thing out into like a larger project, into say an entire blanket or into towels or something like that, a scarf, this is a really fun thing to work on. So yeah, if you have ever been interested in learning how to weave on a rigid heddle loom, then we do have help for you there as well. So those are the 2 things that are really kind of going on right now at Sweet Georgia and at the School of Sweet Georgia. There's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and a lot of a lot of stuff happening right now behind the scenes, and mostly it's because we're preparing for Knit City. And so if you guys don't know about Knit City, if you're in Vancouver, Knit City is a local fiber arts festival, or this knitting festival that happens every fall. And this year it's going to be September 24th and 25th, and it happens at the P&E in Vancouver. We are going to have our big, massive booth, like our full-size booth this year. Last year was like a mini Knit City, and we took the tiniest spot possible because we weren't sure how it was all going to go. But this year we are back to our big, giant, full booth. And we are also going to be hosting the lounge. So there is a Knit City lounge, and in the lounge there's space for like picnic tables to sit and have lunch, and you know, sit and knit for a bit and share what what you've found, what you've discovered in the marketplace, all of that kind of stuff. But this year we're also going to have a lot of demos. So we are going to do demos about the rigid heddle loom. We're going to do demos on blending board. We are going to do meetups with anybody who's in the school of Sweet Georgia. If you want to come and meet some of the instructors in the school, we're going to have some meetup times for that. So yeah, if you ever come to Vancouver in the fall, please be sure to come and visit Knit City. It's a it's a big knitting event that happens. And so the thing that they started last year, the organizers started doing this last year, is they started creating 2 different time slots to enter Knit City. So that way, it was just kind of crowd control, I guess, in a way. But they're going to continue doing that, where they have one slot from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then there's a break where everybody can go have lunch, and then another slot from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And so what we decided to do is, with these 4 blocks, we're going to host an event inside the lounge for each one of these blocks. So we're going to do 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday. There's going to be different events. So the first one might be like the weaving meetup, and I will host a weaving meetup and talk about rigid heddle looms, talk about multi-shaft looms, all of that kind of stuff. There's going to be a blending board demo. Charlotte's going to do that one. We're going to do a spinning meetup, because we've always done kind of like a spin-in for one of the days. Usually Sunday is a spin-in. And so hopefully some of our spinning instructors will also be able to join for that. You'll be able to meet them. And then the last thing that we want to do is we're going to do a knitting and crochet meetup. And hopefully everybody who's in the school, who just Sunday afternoon, by that time everybody's pretty mellow. And then we can just sit and hang out and knit for a bit. But I'll be there in the lounge the entire weekend. So really excited to hopefully meet many of you guys there. Now, one of the things that the organizers of Knit City, Amanda and Fiona, they had sent out an email the other day about, oh, if you're knitting your Knit City sweater, be sure to send us a video of that. And I was thinking, oh, Knit City sweater, it's time to start working on your Knit City sweater. And so one of the things that I want to share with you guys as a kind of a bit of a teaser is that we have been working behind the scenes on a massive redesign of all of our colorways at Sweet Georgia. So this does not mean that like all of your favorite colorways are going to go away, but we have like started from zero and started completely fresh, creating an entirely new collection from scratch. And so these are 2 of the things that we want to be able to share at Knit City. And I'm going to show you guys, I'll do like a proper video, show you more behind the scenes of how we developed it, what we were talking about, what we're thinking about, and what has come out of that. But there's basically going to be 2 collections. One is like a main collection. We're going to call that the Elements collection. And then the second collection is like a mini collection of 10 colors, and that's going to be called Elixir. And then every season we're going to come out with another set of probably about 10 colors or so. And so the reason why I really wanted to start from zero again, creating all brand new colors for Sweet Georgia, is because I wanted a way to be able to mix and match colors better, and without having to second guess myself or wonder, does this one really go with this one? And so what we've done is we've created an entire color collection where all of the hues go with all of the other hues. So hopefully this would give you more confidence to be able to choose different colors and choose this one and that one. And because they're from the same collection, they just fit together. They just go together really nicely. And so I'm very excited to share about that one with you guys. Now, we need to make a whole bunch of samples in these new colors. And so that's what we've been kind of talking about and working on like since yesterday. We have to do it a little bit faster. We have to get going on this. But I have one other little tiny mini collection of colors that's going to come out in September as well. And it's because these are the colors that I used for the double weave blanket that I wove for the upcoming double weave class. So I'll just show those to you because I just have these colors left over. But this little set of colors I have been really in love with. This is, yeah, it's I've been loving these colors. But these are all going into a double weave blanket that I'm weaving, and we're going to call this little mini palette the Cabin Collection. And so you can get these 4 colors as a set, and you could, you know, make a giant shawl with it, make a fade sweater with it, make a blanket with it. I feel like this would work really, really well as a shawl as well. If you just go from one color to the next color, rotate, make stripes, all of these colors. I love these. So that's kind of what we're doing in the background. There's other things that are coming up that will be launched as well. There's a lot of dyeing going on. We don't talk a ton about dyeing on this channel, but we should. We should talk more about dyeing. One of the things that we have wanted to do for a while now is not necessarily resurrect the club, but we used to make a sock yarn club and a fiber club, and every month we would create a new colorway and we would mail it out, and it would be a mystery and you wouldn't know what was going on, that sort of thing. And through that club, it gave us an opportunity to highlight and feature many of the different dyers that we have at SweetGeorgia. Because we have a team of dyers. There's a number of people who are creating the yarns, dyeing every day, and all this kind of stuff. And we love giving our dyers the opportunity to sort of express themselves through dye, through color, through creating new colorways and everything. And so we've sort of given everyone an opportunity to do that by creating a new project that's called Stitch Diaries. And again, I'll go into this in way more detail in like another video. But Stitch Diaries is kind of a combination of 2 things. One, it highlights and it features one of our dyers and allows them to create a new colorway from scratch. That would be a limited edition thing, and just helps them tell a story through color. And then the other side of that is that Tabitha has designed a pattern to go with these colors. And so the patterns that she's designed are in the format of almost like a stitch dictionary, where you can make it up as you go. You can follow the different stitch patterns and then combine them as you like in order to create something. So it's almost like a choose your own adventure in some ways, but it's using a stitch dictionary that she's created. She's been working a lot on stitch dictionaries. I think we will for sure tell you more about that as well. But yeah, she's been working a lot on these kinds of stitch dictionary type of projects, and allowing you to combine different stitch patterns to create a thing. And so we'll definitely show more about that soon. Stitch Diaries. Oh, Sandra, that's so funny. we should spell it that way. But I will quickly show you sneak preview of the first Stitch Diaries colorways that are going to be coming out. Okay, so this one, these 2 here, this one is stealth mode. This is a color that we always carry. Okay, so this is like a beautiful slate blue gray kind of color. I really love this color. I think it would be great for a sweater. Very wearable color. It's like a neutral. It's a chromatic neutral, so it's got a color to it, but you can combine it with pretty much everything. The color that this is designed by Charlotte. So Charlotte has been dyeing with us for many, many years now. And so she created this colorway because she wrote in her description, and if you get the Stitch Diaries, you'll be able to read her story about it. But the idea is that she loves color, and she's always loved color. She's always loved lots of different kinds of colors, a lot of purples, reds, vibrant colors, all sorts of colors. But when she was growing up in Taiwan, she had to wear a school uniform, and it was brown and navy. And so she had to wear that every day, 6 out of 7 days of every week. And so after moving to Canada, she realized that she can wear whatever color she wants. And so over the years, she's discovered that this color, this kind of muted pink, soft pink, pastel, salmony kind of colors with a little bit of light purple, like all of these kinds of colors really speak to her. She really resonates with these colors. She feels like she really identifies with this kind of color palette. And so for her to put all of those together in one and then combine it with another color that she often like wears as well, she feels like this is very much Charlotte. And so yeah, I think these are going to be super fun. It's going to be a super fun thing to be able to share with you some of the stories that our dyers have, a lot of their backgrounds, a lot of their experiences. All of these things can come out through color. So really excited about this. So that's going to come out in September, I think. And then we released another tiny little thing, which I think is super cute. This is our little gift box that we made, and it's kind of like a mini version of the Advent box, but I want to put like everything in this box because I think it's just so cute. And it is, you can hopefully see, it's kind of a collage of our Die Drops logo that we started working with probably about a year or so ago. I love it. It's like a little gift box. And then we put a label on this as well, kind of like the Advent kit. But this kit is the Learn to Knit kit. And so inside we have this little gift set. Now, I kind of feel like for everybody who's watching here, you probably already know how to knit. But if you ever, you know, you're a knitter, maybe you have friends who you wish could learn how to knit, or friends who have expressed, oh, I'd love to learn how to knit, but I don't know where to start. This is where to start. So we created a class. Tabitha teaches a class called Learn to Knit Your First Scarf. And in that, you're making basically your first ever garter stitch scarf. Very, very simple, learning the techniques of casting on. So using a long tail cast on, learning the knit stitch, and then learning how to cast off. And then she teaches you how to wash and block and all that kind of stuff. And so we had created a series of videos teaching people how to do all these skills. And then Tabitha created a workbook, or kind of like an instruction booklet. So in this booklet are all of the step-by-step instructions on how to do all of these things. And then inside the box, there are 2 skeins of superwash worsted yarn dyed in one of our favorite colors. And these colors can be knit up into your first ever scarf. So one of the first most challenging things I think for a new knitter is that if they're coming to us and they're buying this yarn for the first time, they probably don't have the equipment to wind it into a ball, to be able to work with a skein of yarn or a hank of yarn like this. And so Anita very, very kindly wound them all into balls so that whoever is knitting with this can start right away, and you don't have to get any extra equipment to handle a hank. You can basically open the box. There's a pair of knitting needles in here, the Chiagu bamboo straight knitting needles, super, super easy to work with, and you can just cast on right away. So in any case, this is that Learn to Knit kit. I feel like this would be a really sweet little gift for somebody who's just very curious about knitting. Get 2 balls of worsted weight yarn, and then you can start going ahead with learning something brand new. And we're going to make little kits like this also for crochet. Maybe we make one for like weaving, maybe we make one for spinning. You can tell me if you guys have any suggestions about what to make. But otherwise, yeah, this is our very first ever Learn to Knit kit. I feel like we should have made this a while ago. Now, Sandra, Ruth was asking about core colors sticking around, not sure if the missing answer. I did not mention the answer to that. And so, yes, with all of our colorways at Sweet Georgia, we have our core colorways, and I think there's about 80 of those. And then we had seasonal colorways, and seasonal colorways would change every season. So the fall colorways would be around for 1 year, and then the next fall, all those colorways would be gone. And that was making me incredibly sad because we were doing a lot of work and research and development and creating these colors that were beautiful, having them for a season, and then they would be gone, and then we couldn't use them anymore. And my stash would be just like full of yarn that was like discontinued colors, and it was making me very depressed. And that combined with the idea of not being able to find colors that I felt like would really go together all the time, no matter what. So the core colors, there are many colors in there that we love, like even this color in here, this color in the set here is strawberry tea. I love this color. There's a couple of other colors that are very popular that we really love, like, you know, Magician is one of them. The color that I'm wearing here, this is Arbutus. I love this color. And so some of these colors that we have just really, really fallen in love with, we are going to extract out of the core color collection and create sort of a set that we're going to call signature colors. And so we'll have a set of signature colors that are kind of like yeah, colors that we've been dyeing for years and years and years that we love, that we are never want to get rid of. And so that, so old spruce, desert clay. I love desert clay too. Yeah. So totally. You should definitely put in the chat what your absolute favorite colorway is, and we will make a list of all of the colorways that people want to keep. And it's a great reminder to us which colors you love, which colors you could not live without. Yeah, I think that that would be really, really helpful. Yeah. But I'm just very excited about this new color system, honestly. Very, very excited. Now, there's a couple of other things that I wanted to share with you guys. We have lots of things to talk about today. The last video that I made about the circular sock knitting machine, I talked about making socks for Nina and making those ribbed socks. So I want to show you. I did it. Ta-da! Here's a pair of finished fluorescent pink socks. Now, these are very exciting. Okay, so these are the ribbed socks. They look great. This is that Juana's cast on that I was using for the circular sock knitting machine. It means that when you cast on, you just rip off all of that waste yarn, and then you're left with this beautifully finished edge. It's almost like, oh, yeah, I like this cast on. In any case, here is something that was called like a pre-heel, where basically I put all of the stockinette needles back into the machine and I knit with the ribbing on top and stockinette in the back. Then I did the little short row heel, continued on with the foot, ribbing on the top, finished Kitchener, all of this kind of stuff. Hot pink socks. These are great. Now, this is the first one that I tried to make, and I got so far. I got this ribbing section. I made a giant long ribbing section. I did the heel. In this case, I forgot to make that pre-heel, and I kind of just switched. So there's ribbing all the way down the back of the ankle, you know, for better or for worse. So I guess this is the difference between having a pre-heel and no pre-heel. In any case, I kept going, finished the entire sock. And then when I pulled it out, I discovered that the weight of the heel fork is kind of like, it's like a two-pronged thing with a giant weight on the bottom, and it's supposed to pull down your fabric inside the CSM, inside the circular sock knitting machine, in order so that way the stitches don't fall off the machine. But look, it made a giant hole in the bottom of the foot. The weight of the heel fork and I guess how sharp those prongs were, it caused there to be a hole in the bottom of the sock. It's so sad looking. And so then, yeah, Nina tried on the sock and she's like, it feels so uncomfortable. There's a thing on the bottom. Yeah, there's a giant hole on the bottom. So I had to make the entire thing again and then made two lovely socks with that. So in any case, I just wanted to show this to you, but then I'm going to rip it out and then make a new sock out of the rest of the yarn. So that is that part. I also managed to finish a bunch of socks. So these ones I did take camping with me last week and finished all the toes with Kitchener stitch. I just have to trim off the ends. But there are two finished pairs of these sort of ankle socks, these heel tab no-show socks. I think the next thing I want to do is to make myself a pair of these ribbed socks to see how that feels. But also, I do feel like I am pushing the edge of the gauge that I can get on this fabric. So this is 60 stitches, and I'm knitting at like the tightest possible gauge. And then I add the heel spring, and like this is the tension that I can knit at without all of the stitches falling off of the needles. So, but it's still quite loose. And so the thing that I've been thinking about is switching up to the 72 stitch cylinder, because the cylinder circumference is the same circumference. And so if you have 60 stitches around, they are spaced out with a certain distance between all of those stitches. If you put 72 stitches into the same circumference, all of those stitches are going to be closer together. And that effectively is like going down a needle size. It sounds very strange, right? Like you're going up a stitch count, but you're coming down a needle size. And so by doing that, you could theoretically get an even smaller, tinier stitch. This is, I think, the concept that is weird that I need to experience firsthand to see if it actually is true. So that is my next step, is actually to change cylinders to see if I can get a finer gauge on this sock yarn, because I think I like them, but I want them to wear better. I want them to be more firm. So in any case, that is something that I need to work on. If my logic is not correct, if anybody out there knits with a circular sock knitting machine and says that that logic is not correct, please let me know, and I will experiment and figure this out, because I want to get a tighter gauge, and I'm just trying to figure out all the variables in order to get there. Now, talking about knitting machines, and as I mentioned before, we were talking about Knit City sweaters and making a whole bunch of samples. And so I have in my mind this very lofty ideal that I will be able to knit a whole bunch of sweaters using the knitting machines that I have at home. So I've just been doing so much swatching, so much sampling, so much sampling. I've started to make little samples like this. I've been trying to be really good about it. So this is a swatch that I've knit with the BFL and Silk Fine and Silk Mist being held together. I love this idea of holding yarns together. It makes a beautiful fabric. It's really just soft and really squishy. It's just a nice fabric. Trying to figure out what stitch size to use in order to get this kind of fabric. And so I've been trying to make these swatches and be really good about the documentation of these. So hopefully you can see, okay, I have this printed on a piece of cardstock, and then you can see here, I knit this on the LK150. This gauge is 20 stitches per 4 inches for the upper part, and then 18 for the lower part. I'm using tension dial 3, and then these are the stitch sizes, 4.5 and 6.5. So experimenting a little bit with this kind of stuff to find the right fabric for my sweater. I have an entire mountain of swatches that I want to put together in this format, and then I'm going to somehow stick it down, punch a hole here, and then put a ring through them all so I can keep all of the swatches together. I have also created a big Google Sheets document, like a spreadsheet, with all of the different yarns, with all of the different tension settings, with all of the different stitch dial settings, and then I washed and blocked and measured the gauge, the row gauge and the stitch gauge for every single swatch. So I have probably about 40 line items already for the yarns that I've knit. I've done Tough Love Sock, I think I've done worsted, and I did BFL Silk Fine, because I'm trying to figure out all of the settings in order to get the gauge that I need, so that when I go and I pick up a pattern that I want to knit and it says, oh, this needs to be 21 stitches per 4 inches, I just go down my spreadsheet, find the settings that I need for the yarn that I want to use, and then that's what I'm going to do. And so it's almost, yeah, it's just creating this archive library of all my swatches, all my stitch settings, all my gauges, what I can get, and then hopefully that means that it'll be easier, just kind of a shortcut to picking up a knitting pattern and just running with it. So this is something I want to do. Now, Navelli, this is a pattern that was created by Caitlin Hunter, and I knit one of these by hand a couple of years ago. I love this sweater, and I remember saying even then that I love this sweater so much, I love wearing the sweater so much, that if I had a chance, I would knit the same one again. So seeing as how there is this Fair Isle component down here, and knowing that the knitting machine that I have at home, that Silver Reed SK280, has a punch card function where theoretically I could knit Fair Isle like this. Oh, I was just so excited about the potential of being able to knit Fair Isle on the knitting machine, just and then have like this 2-color Fair Isle just pop out of the machine. And so I think I spent an entire Sunday morning trying to figure out what was going on. Now, if anybody has a flatbed knitting machine and knows how to knit Fair Isle, I would love to chat with you. I am having problems with it. Everything about this machine works perfectly fine. You know, casting on is great, knitting stockinette is great. I put the punch card in and then try to set it up with 2 different colors, and it won't ever pick up the second color. It doesn't ever create the pattern that it needs to create. I'm so confused. I've knit so many samples where the Fair Isle didn't work. And so I've also I tried to replace the sponge bar by myself by cleaning off the old sponge and replacing it with new sponge. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos about all of this stuff. I think I messed up. And so then I ordered a bunch of new sponge bars that have already been created. Yeah, I feel like I have a mountain to climb to figure out how to do this Fair Isle on my machine. But when I see other people do it, it just looks so like a no-brainer. It looks so easy. People are saying, oh, this is my first Fair Isle. I just hooked it up and it worked. And mine is not working. And so I'm frustrated. In any case, this is what I want to knit. I know I can knit this top part of this sweater, no problem. I have even considered just forfeiting all of the Fair Isle and just going straight into stockinette and just knit a novelli that is just stockinette. So if you come to Knit City and you see a novelli that is only stockinette, you will know that it's because I couldn't get it to work. Yes, Sandra, these knitting machines are amazing. You can use a punch card, and the machine comes with 20 different punch cards with all these different patterns. The punch cards are used to create Fair Isle or colorwork patterns, 2-color colorwork. You can use them to create tuck stitch patterns. You can use them to create lace patterns. Theoretically, it's amazing if it works. And I'm just so frustrated. I don't know why my machine doesn't work. In any case, that's all of the stuff that is going on related to the knitting things. I also wanted to let you guys know about spinning stuff. Yes, Amanda, you can make your own punch cards. I did. I placed an order for one of those little punch things, little hole punch, specifically designed for knitting machine punch cards. And I ordered a set of blank punch cards because my whole goal was that I was going to take this novelli pattern and I was going to punch this particular Fair Isle pattern in order to knit the sweater. But while I'm waiting for these items to arrive, I was just using the punch cards that came with the machine, trying to see if I could get anything to happen, and it's not working. I figured out how to do color work manually using the LK150 because that machine does not have a punch card. The LK150 is like super manual, but basically you can pull some stitches out so that they're not being knit with the one color, and then you exchange those needles with the other needles that have been knit, and then you go across with the second color to knit. It's a whole different way of looking at Fair Isle. So when you knit color work by hand, you're going across the row and you're choosing which stitches are this color, which stitches are that color, which stitches are color A, which stitches are color B. But when you knit color work on a machine, you basically knit across the row with color A, and you only knit the stitches that you want in color A, and all the color B colors, all the color B needles are kind of put into a holding space where you don't knit them. Then you come across again with the carriage, and then you knit with color B, and you knit all of the stitches that were not knit. But I'm having trouble figuring all of that out. I also kind of feel like the instructions in the booklet that come with the machine are kind of like you knit with color A, and then you knit with color A again, because you're going back and forth on the carriage, and then you change colors and you knit B back and forth. But that means that every time you knit something, you have to knit 2 rows of the same colors. So in any case, this is a whole area of learning that I'm still going through. So very excited, but I just wish it would all work. Greta's asking about, can I knit the Fair Isle part by hand and then attach it to the machine knitting? Yes, you absolutely can. Yes, 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 you can. I just want to do it on the machine to see if I can do it. Yes, but a lot of people do that, and I have been reading a lot about how people will knit like Fair Isle yoke, like colorwork yokes, and then they hang the remainder of their sweater on the machine, and then they just zip down the body part. And so I might try that as well. But again, that requires you matching your hand knitting gauge to the machine knitting gauge. And again, I think that this is where my spreadsheet is going to come in very handy. So that is the knitting thing. Yeah. Now, we also have some spinning stuff that I wanted to mention. So Greta is very, 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 very excited about this, but we have filmed a class recently with Kim McKenna, who teaches a lot of our more advanced spinning techniques inside the School of Sweet Georgia. And she came and she brought 3 different fleeces with her and showed us how to work from raw fleece. So we've just filmed this class. It is coming out next Wednesday on the School of Sweet Georgia. It's going to be called something like working from fleece. And so it's everything from how to wash raw fleece to how to prepare it, like either with combs, blending board, hand cards, all of that kind of stuff. And then how to spin each one of these different kinds of fiber. So I believe she brought, I can't remember exactly which, I think she brought a Polworth, and I think there might be, I can't remember. My memory is totally shot. But in any case, you can see that she also talked about different finishing methods. So these are 4 of the little mini skeins that she spun using fleece that she had washed, prepped. This yarn is beautiful. Like, you can't even imagine. You can see how squishy it is. It's just gorgeous. But she's done so much. This is all Cordale. And she's done 4 different finishing methods here. So there's one that is thwacked. So where you take your skein and your wet skein and you thwack it on the counter in order to help help it bloom a little bit. There's one that's just been soaked. There's one that's a hot cold method where kind of like you're shocking the yarn from hot to cold. And then the last one is Kim's method. This is her way of creating the smoothest, silkiest, most beautiful finished yarn possible. So this class is going up next Wednesday. You can also see some of her shawls. These are some of the projects that she's knit. They are exquisite. They are so, so pretty. These are all from raw fleece. These have not been dyed. This is the natural color of the sheep, of the wool. It's gorgeous. But you just look at the drape of this, and then you could see like how uniform all of the spinning is, how uniform the stitches are. This is just absolutely gorgeous. This is one of the goals of coming in and learning how to spin, is learning how to make yarn that is just gorgeous, that is workable, that lasts a long time, where you feel like you could take the fiber right from the source and create something absolutely gorgeous like this. This is, again, another shawl. Natural colors of the fiber blended in there. That's why there's a little bit of this variation and all this kind of stuff. Elena is asking about a portion of badly carded Shetland to blend with silk. Yeah, that would be wonderful. And then you have 2.5 fleeces to process. Yeah, so as Greta just mentioned, we want to do a study group about this as well. So I know that a lot of these kinds of processes can be challenging to do on your own. I mean, we discovered that with the dyeing recently this past summer. Like, we created dyeing classes for the school back in 2018, and many people watched them during that time, but watched them and then just, it was up here in their brain. And then this past summer, we said we're going to do an acid dyeing study group. We're actually going to do it. And that was the most amazing thing, is that people who had watched the class back in 2018 rewatched them again and then did the actual dyeing part of it. And so this is one of the things, like, I can watch Kim wash fleece. I know how to wash fleece, but unless I have someone like Greta saying, hey, let's go wash fleece, I may not wash my fleece. And so doing it all together as a group and saying, hey, we're going to start today, we're going to get our Orvis paste today, we're going to, do our 3 whatever today, like, we're going to do it together and then see what our results are together. That has been monumentally helpful. The other thing about all of this is that it gives you, Kim talks a lot about like the different characteristics of different sheep breeds. And so this is one where you could go back and you can watch Rachel Smith's class where she talks about spinning different sheep breeds, or you can get the Fleece and Fiber source book. there's a lot of knowledge to be gained about understanding different sheep, different breeds. What are they good for? Like, what is the fiber good for? What are the characteristics? Which ones are shiny? Which ones are downy? Which ones are spongy? Like, how are they going to behave? Understanding those facts about the different kinds of wool will also help you figure out how you want to prepare it, how you want to finish it, and what you want to make with it at the end of the day. So there's a lot of that kind of learning that's involved, like a lot of just like a lot of facts, a lot of that kind of reference material, background material. But the actual act of washing the fleece is not as complicated as you think. And so Kim's method has been great, really great. I've done it in person with her. Greta and I washed a couple of, well, yeah, we washed a bit of fleece with Kim in person to learn her technique, but it is fantastic. And then look at how beautiful, look at how beautiful this yarn is. Just natural colors, beautifully spun, beautifully knit, really, really lovely. And yeah, like Greta's saying, you don't need to use that much fiber. So, I mean, a lot of the fleece that we're washing 100 grams at a time. We're not washing a pound. We're not washing like an entire fleece in one go. You take it kind of a chunk at a time. And Kim has lots of ways of talking about it and thinking about it in a way that makes it more manageable, and also manageable if you are working in a small space. So very excited about that. I was just going to say that next week we're not going to have a Friday video because I am going to be on Pender Island with my family. We're going camping. It's more like we're going we're going to cabins, I guess, with my entire family. And so that will be really fun. That will be really exciting. But it just served as a reminder that last summer I went to Pender Island and I bought this fleece. I bought washed fleece. It was washed by the person that I bought it from. It's already been washed, but it's sitting there and it has not yet been processed or spun. And so it was this very stark reminder that I should be doing something with that. It's been a year. It's been a year since I got it and I should be doing something with it. So I was thinking about taking that fleece with me again, processing it and maybe spinning it while I'm at Pender Island this year. I got to get going on that. I feel so guilty. I cannot buy any more fleece until I work on that fleece. Yes, Kat, it is going to be glamping. I'm looking forward to taking some pictures. I think it'll be neat. In terms of weaving stuff that's going on, I am so close to finishing threading the loom that I have at home for Crackle. I have been timing myself. Also, this is another idea that Greta gave me. She has been using a time tracking app to keep track of how long she's been spending on doing all these things. And it kind of also serves as a reminder when you look back and say, oh, I did actually put quite a chunk of time into, working on these things. You kind of feel like, oh, I never have time. But if you just track how much time you actually spend on some of these things, the time adds up. So I remember a couple of mornings ago, I tracked some time. I literally had 4 minutes to thread some heddles. But I managed to get through a chunk of threading, so 4 minutes. And then last night I spent some time tracking time again, threading. And so all of this time does add up. I'm excited about, looking at this time tracking thing a little bit more closely. The other thing that I've been thinking a lot about is that I'm trying to understand Crackle and how Crackle works. I'm trying to understand that in relation to overshot, in relation to other kinds of blocks. But I'm trying to create like an overall understanding of how this works, because I feel a lot like with weaving, when we approach weaving, we don't necessarily know where to begin. And so I'm trying to create the map of understanding weaving and weave structures and blocks and things like that, so that I can kind of prepare that for teaching, prepare a map of where this all goes. And then that means that when I come up with new information, I'll be like, oh, that just goes over here. Oh, that weave structure, that's related to this, that goes over here. So kind of like developing a better overview, the lay of the land, where are we going? A lot of times I feel like when I came into weaving, it's great. Like there's this very easy cleared path, and then you walk the cleared path. But then as you walk deeper and deeper into the forest of this cleared path, you start to feel like, well, where do I go now? What do I do now? And I think that looks like cool over there, and that looks good over there. Do they connect? I have no idea. And so I am trying to figure out this map of everything so that I can learn it and also so that I can teach it. So that's all sort of happening right now in the back of my mind. I'm trying to keep up with the chat as you guys are talking. Yes, you guys are talking about how to store fleece. How to store fleece. Yeah. Kim will answer that better than I can. Yes. Okay, wonderful. So we are pretty much at the end. I just wanted to remind you guys that inside the School of Sweet Georgia, we do have that class that's coming out next Wednesday with Kim. We also, just this past week, we filmed a new class with Caitlin French. She does all of our natural dye teaching, or a lot of our natural dye teaching here for the School of Sweet Georgia. And she recently came to teach us how to dye with fresh indigo. So fresh leaf indigo. If you have dyed any Japanese indigo in your garden this year, now is the time. You can harvest it, use those leaves immediately to dye color on scoured yarn, scoured fiber. It was super, super cool to see this. So this class is going to come out in a couple of weeks. It's being edited right now. Very, very cool. So that's happening. And as well, right now, as always, I think, right now we have a special on for the School of Sweet Georgia. It's the back to school special. You guys can use the code TBF22, TBF22, and that will give you 15% off forever and ever and ever, as long as you are a member of the School of Sweet Georgia. So in this case, you can choose if you want to sign up for monthly, or if you want to sign up quarterly, if you want to sign up for annual. I will tell you that an annual membership is the best deal. And with all of these, again, you can get 15% off, and they are all locked in forever and ever, as long as you are a member of the school. And so that is going to happen this month and next month. And so really looking forward to seeing you guys in the school. If any of these things that we have talked about today are interesting to you, intriguing to you, you want to talk more about these, you want to meet other people who are interested in all of these things and all of these things at the same time, then please do come and join us inside the school. It will be super, super fun to share with you guys. It's lovely seeing you guys chat here. I love seeing this. Fantastic. So thank you guys so much for being here today. There's no video again next week. We'll see what happens in August. I was trying to take August as in, it's kind of like a vacation, but it's been tricky to do. Yeah. But September is coming very soon. Knit City is coming very soon. Lots of knitting to be done, lots of colors to share. I have lots of things to share with you guys in the coming weeks. So really, really looking forward to that. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you guys in the next one. All right, have a wonderful couple of weeks, and I will see you guys soon. All right, bye for now.